Good morning, everybody. Thought I'd do a quick video. It's been a while, been a few months. A lot has happened to me. It's crazy, just crazy. Let me see if I'm live. Been a while. Um, yeah, I guess the last time I did a video, I just had my surgery and was recovering. I've recovered, doing better. Um, waking back with you guys. But that was tough, man. That was crazy. That came out of the blue. Bam. That wasn't no fun. But like I said, I recovered. The Thank God for emergency surgery. Thank God those people are there. But it's all going well. Went and got to see the grandkids. Second time seeing the grandson Miles. Boy, he's growing fast. Went to my 40th high school reunion last weekend. That was great. Get to see those people. It's uh, it's fun. It's fun. You know, remember, go down memory lane with all those people. And for me, and it's kind of it's nice. It's refreshing. Um, a good swath of the people that show up are people I went to school with from kindergarten, and yeah, it's good to see those guys again. We and and the funny thing is, most of them are Hispanic. And I had the best time with my brothers, Sammy Watson and Kim Endings, a couple of my black buddies who grew up with, who played golf together, and we had a good time. Good seeing those guys. It's great to see people you grew up with that are successful, right? That that are winning in life, or at least on the surface, it looks like it. They're winning. They seem happy, but that was real good. That was real good. Had and it happens. it Not bragging, not being uh, full of myself, but almost we do our reunions every 10 years, and so at almost every reunion, at least one girl came up and said, "You know, you probably never knew this, but I had such a crush on you." And I'm like, "Well, you know, thanks." You know, rah. Well, this time, crazy, no different. This girl walks up to me. "Do you remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't remember you." "Well, do you know this girl?" And, don't remember them. And they're like, "Well, me and her were so in love with you and your friend. And y'all picked us up one time. And we were cruising around. And you pulled out a joint. Said, let's smoke a joint." And me and her, we never smoked before. And we were like, "No, we're not going to do that. If you're going to do that, let us out of the car." And she goes, "And y'all did. You took us back to our car and you dumped us out so you could smoke a joint." And they were like, I said, "Okay, I'm sorry, but it must have been really good weed. Really. It must have been really good." So I'm not gonna feel too bad about that. But she was nice. She was a real nice girl. I had no idea who she was, but it's one of those deals, right? And several of my close friends, I told y'all about. I've been on the journey for enlightenment for a long time, and I think I'm sure I've told y'all about Sons of God Ministries and Josh and William Donahue on his teachings and stuff. And wow, did I ever get good confirmation? Because I've been working hard for several years now, on just being better, right? Just being better. And I had a couple of them come up to me and go, you really, your your aura, your vibe is different. It's really it's really powerful. I feel it. I said it's really positive. I was like, well, thank you. I've been trying to, you know, smooth out the rough edges, because those people, and that's what's funny, is those people only know you really from your most juvenile time in life, right? When you make some of the worst decisions, you act the worst, you're just awful. And for them to say that was confirming that I'm on the right path. I've been working hard, trying to walk that narrow path. But if you guys haven't, if y'all haven't checked out Sons of God Ministries on YouTube, they're on Facebook too, or William Donahue on YouTube, and listen to the way they do and go through the Bible. And I was when I started on YouTube, I was with Alan, and that was premillennialism, right? That was a preterist, and that was the end times, the short season. That was all of that, and I went down that trail because it made more sense than the theology I've been given. And so, going down that path, thought that was a pretty solid, and then it started falling apart. And I finally, and I guess that's part due to my deep dive into frequency and vibration and healing, and then of course you mix in the Tartaria stuff, you mix in the reset, you mix in all of the unexplained history, all the monolithic structures around the world, pyramids, everywhere. You start mixing all that in, and you find somebody that's looking at the Bible in a, I guess what is they call it, esoteric way. That most all of it is esoteric, and it's like he said, like Jesus said, he talked to the regular people in parables, so they could understand, they could think about the process and the story and what it means, and they're not meant to know the secrets, right, until they reach that higher mind. And it's pretty amazing when you actually go back through Jesus's words and what he says. And these guys do a great job, man. A great job of putting it in context, putting it in a frame of why would he say this, right? What is he talking about? Because everybody in theology, we've been shoveled in the pews from these seminarians, is just garbage. It's just terrible. And the one thing I learned real quick was this whole materialism, this looking for a physical savior, this looking for towards physical heaven or physical hell. That's all. That's all BS, man. And, you know, why would God do that? He loves us. Why would He? Why would He send us to be tormented for eternity? He created us. He knew us in the womb. He counts every hair on our head. If we get lost, He'll leave the 99 sheep and go look for us. You know, I mean, yeah, it never made any sense to me the way the Old Testament, just such a bloodthirsty God and all this sacrifice and all this crazy stuff. It's just like, wow. And then when you see these guys go through it in a more, I guess you'd say, a more scientific way, you know, when you realize stuff like why in Genesis 1 does it say, you know, God created male and female. He sent them out to be have dominion over the earth and be fruitful and multiply. Didn't name them Adam and Eve. Didn't put Adam to work and then find him an old gal, and didn't, you know, just right away made them both. Said they were in His image, right? And you see that, and you're like, what's going on? Why? You know, what is, because they never talk about the difference in 1 and 2. And then in 2, you know, he on a scientific level, you can look at it when he takes the rib from Adam is like in physics or something, splitting the atom, you know, to start mankind. There's a lot of esoteric things, a lot of what do you call it? Since, oh man, since I had that last seizure in July, and then went through that surgery and all the anesthesia, my memory's been, it's been terrible, foggy. But but go watch these guys. It's really makes more sense than anything when Jesus said stuff, and I never understood it till I watched this, and y'all have heard them too. Y'all have heard these verses before, where Jesus, you know, simple things, you know, kingdom of God is within, right? He just told those people, now the kingdom of God is in you, and people always took that as just a metaphor that, you know, didn't literally mean that, but He does literally mean that. When God said, "Let there be light," that wasn't sunlight or moonlight. That was photons. I guess you'd say quadrillions or whatever. All of us, we are a particle of God. He said, "You're the light of the world." Why would He say that? You know, He says, "I be single, body be filled with light." You know, what does all that mean? Why is He saying that? You know, because it's true. Why did He tell the disciples, you know, hey, you know, these things I do, I tell you now, you'll do greater. Why would He tell us we can do stuff He can do if we can't do it? Why would He say that? You know, and then stuff, like He said, you know, take no thought. When you pray, you go in the dark alone and be still. Know that I'm God. And that's describing meditation. You know, that's describing meditation. And it's just, we get taught this pile of bull and we have no idea how to get to God. You know, the 7 candlesticks, the 7 seals, you know, the 7 chakras. We got to get to that 7th chakra, that higher mind, that, you know, heaven. And He says, you know, you create heaven and hell for yourself. You do it. It's not a physical place where you're going to end up going and just be tortured forever. Oh my God. That always made no sense to me. Where God puts us in a position that if we don't toe a line, bam, you're done. But I thought you loved me. I mean, yeah, I do, but yeah, not that much. And Jesus talking about reincarnation, talking about Elijah, how he had already returned and they rejected him, and John the Baptist was was him. And it's just, you know, Jesus never tells you you're going to hell. He never tells you. He says you can create it. He says your tongue can bring death or it can bring life. You know, it can bring chaos or it can bring peace. It's up to you. And it all points to just you and your mind. It's where you get your mindset. And it just, wow. It's changed me a lot. Just since I got the burden of heaven and hell off of me, I just, wow. I feel better about everything because that was always such a burden. Everybody that's a Christian just carries that. You know, none of the other religions, you go off to some beautiful thing, you know, in pretty much any scenario, as long as you're a believer. And, not us. Not us. Somebody laid it out where, they read it and went, oh man, this means he gonna kill you. No, he ain't gonna kill you. He just gonna wish you were dead for eternity. It just made no sense. But the the life changing stuff I've had in the last several months, all of that really helped me get through it. It really did, and it was eye opening when you're helpless like that. And on my on my journey that day, when my ulcer perforated, I'm in the ambulance. I don't know if I told this last time, but they could only give me like 2 of fentanyl. And when they did, it just, wow. Didn't help. Didn't help at all. Just hurting so bad. And they said, well, we can give you some ketamine. I said, give me everything you can. I'll take whatever you got. I'm hurting so bad. And they gave me some ketamine, man. And that is literally, I've done mushrooms, but not to the point of where I had hallucinations. Just, took a half a dose. And I've never taken acid. So I've never had a real psychedelic trip. Well, dude, I had my first one, and that was crazy. That was crazy. I saw the universe, and the coolest thing was I saw this. I was in this huge, like, cube, and it was white. And in the corner, a guy was sitting there, and there was this big gray panel, and these numbers were turning. Big panel, and they're turning every direction, this way and sideways. It's rows of them. And he's sitting there looking at it, and he keeps looking at me. It was so cool. It was so real. And was like, I knew, don't walk over there. You'll never get there. That's the secrets to the universe. And he's sitting there reading all the secrets to the universe. And the look he gave me was like, don't even try it, man. Don't even try it. This is tough. And so I left. And as it wore off, I think it lasted probably 30 minutes at most. And I was in no pain. I had no idea. It was just bliss. It was so perfect. And then it starts wearing off. And I start coming to in the ER. And I'm just, I'm dying again. And I'd heard of ketamine and stuff. But I'd never had any. And in the ER, when I started coming around, they're like, we're getting you something for pain. I said, I don't want no pain meds. I want some ketamine. They said, we're not going to give you any more ketamine. I said, I'd rather have that than morphine, that's for sure. Morphine made me sick to my stomach. I don't know how many times. Told them, I don't want that, man. That's going to make me sick. And they're like, well, we don't have anything else. Fine, give it to me. They give it, and I start, about to yak. They go get me some Phenergan. And I'm like, jeez, guys. But back to the back to the spirituality. And one of the best things I learned, and they never teach this in the pews, is that our whole existence just exists in our mind, our left brain, our carnal mind, our right brain, our spiritual mind, and we manifest all this. Jesus told us that. We do it ourselves. And we were never lined out on, hey, your carnal mind is going to drive everything. You've got to take control of it. You've got to be able to, you know, have your spiritual mind and your spirit, your soul, you know, run the show. And we were always told, hey, Jesus will take care of it. Just pray to Jesus, and he'll change your heart. He'll change, your circumstance. He'll do this. He'll do that. And it's like, wow. uh, I have to do it. If I'm not on board, man, it's and meditation is so hard when you try and shut that internal monologue down in your brain. That is so hard. It wants to disrupt you from getting to a good peaceful place. It's tough. It's really tough. But what do you do? So I guess I don't even know if this has been recording or not. I guess there's somebody there. Hey, Eric, what's up? I just saw that. How have you been? But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy when you start seeing the Bible in a non indoctrination way, in a non theologian, or modern day theology. It's so freeing. It gives you space to really get to God. It takes you out of all that fear. Jesus didn't want us to be afraid of him. He wanted us to, call out and find him. Kingdom of heaven is within. I mean, what more could he say to us? And when he laid it out to the disciples, when they asked, what commandments, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to follow? Two things, simple. And people were like, yeah, but he said he didn't come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it. And a lot of people say, well, he's justifying the Old Testament, and I don't think that's true. I think what that means is that he came back and he lived by their Jewish laws, and he overcame it. He showed a whole new way, a whole new testament, that his Father, like he said, doesn't require the blood sacrifice of bulls and sheep and stuff. He doesn't do it. He doesn't need that. And so he fulfilled that. He lived by their laws and rules, and overcame it. And it's crazy, all the things, when you go back and you see all the things he said that just really pointed to, you gotta get that carnal mind, that materialism. You gotta get it out of your life. The true, what do you say? The true follower, you know, gives up everything and follows him. And we can't imagine giving up everything. It's just, wow, we can't do that. Buddhists, Hare Krishnas, Hindus, they all have about the same ideas, same path to get to enlightenment. But they actually call it getting to enlightenment, you know. From what I understand, they don't lay out a whole deal. Do A, B, and C, and you go to heaven? You don't, you go to hell. I think they've got some speed bumps, but it's all about reaching that higher mind. And of two Jesuses. See, I'm not gonna shut down the thought process. There could have been several people that reached enlightenment in those times that weren't Jesus. They, you know, he said, you know, you'll do greater things than me. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that there were people around in different parts of the world. Well, like they in the I think some of the Hindu writings they talk about a man who came there and taught, and it was Jesus basically the way they lay it out. The way it reads is it was Jesus came over there, and people go, well, think about it. There's no accounting of Jesus from 12 years old to 30 years old. Where was he? A lot of people speculate he was going around Asia and Europe and everywhere. And that's all these other religions just they didn't they didn't necessarily put the template out that Christianity did, but they still have that higher mindset of reaching the gods, right? And two Jesuses, no, I think there's just one, the one that was, he was the Word, you know, there was him, but I don't, I don't doubt there were some people that reached some pretty high mindsets, like the Buddhist monks and stuff. We know that they reach a higher mindset than we can, and it's through their meditation. So another Jesus, yeah, probably not another Jesus, but there's some pretty solid dudes out there that understood the ancient teachings. You know, even Jesus said that. You know, it's not for them to know the secrets, you know, of the ancient teachings, and that's wow. What do I do to learn them? Well, you got to go to the lower chakras, the lower frequency, and you got to rise from the dead, and get to that higher mind. You know, in our gut, man. The more I'm learning about, I'd already known quite a bit about my stomach because I had that ulcer for a long time. I had it for 20 years. But our gut health, it runs, it runs our life. It just does. I I had forgotten what it was like to not have a stomach that was always on edge, you know, a little bit. And man, to have a non-irritated stomach for now going on a month is just so amazing, so amazing. But in my recovery, I had been working on pain reprocessing therapy. That's a mental exercise to help with your pain, and I was making good progress with it, and once that high level of pain dissipated, I was able to mitigate my pain with that pain reprocessing. No, no, I didn't know that. I didn't know that, dude. Yeah, they talk about it. You got to watch these guys' teachings, man. Especially Josh, he is so good. Like he was talking about Moses and Aaron, and Moses was the water bearer. That's what his name means, and Aaron means giver of the word. So Aaron spoke for Moses. Moses brought the frequency and the energy, and Aaron tried to teach the people how to use it, and they rebelled. And yeah, the names are crazy. When you see somebody who did the footwork and they dug down into the etymology of words, they dug down into, you know, times, places, people, words, what was going on at the time, and it's way. I think it's the closest thing to the true path to God that I've ever run across, and I've run across a lot of crap. Right, right. I mean, you never know. Like I said, there's I have no doubt that there were people out there that knew the secrets that were able. I mean, and like Jesus told the Pharisees and them, he says, "What? How do you say it? Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees! You have the secrets to basically to heaven, but you don't let anybody else have them, and you don't use them yourself to get to heaven." And so he was laying it out that they knew they had the secrets to get to heaven, but they didn't use them, didn't want nobody else to have them. Who did that video, Eric? Yeah, I'll watch it. Who did that video? Put it in there, and I'll watch it. But yeah, go check out William Donahue on YouTube, and check out Sons of God Ministries on YouTube or on Facebook. And man, I started listening to Bill or Josh first, and he woke me up. And then he said something about Bill Donahue, and I went and looked up Donahue, and he's from the '90s, man. He's a Yankee from New Jersey. He's entertaining, but he gets the message across really well, really well, and it's just it changed my whole perspective. It's just the narrow path gotten more narrow, right? Got to all the peripheral, all the nonsense that modern theology does is, you have to tithe, you have to give 10%, you have to pay us to get this message. And anybody that went to church for very long knows that if you're there very long and you don't consistently tithe, they'll call you in and ask you what's going on. Why aren't you tithing? We're looking at the books, right? It's like, what? And it's, this whole prosperity gospel. It's prosperity gospel, or it's fire and brimstone. You're going to hell. You're never going to be good enough. You can try and you can try. We all fall short of the glory of God. We'll never get there. So hopefully, when you die and you get to the pearly gates and the judgment and all this, they go, yeah, come on in, right? It's crazy. Yeah, it's just crazy. Never, never felt right. That's the biggest thing for me is my whole life. Uh, none of their, none of the sermons, none of the messages felt right. There's some good parts in them that you could take some inspiration from, but as a whole, the theme was this bloodthirsty God. It was this vengeful, you toe the line or I smite you, God. And if the eye for an eye, boys, Lewis, dogs are out here with me. Where's Lewis? But it just never sat right. I'm like, one hand you tell me he's all loving God, he is love. He's pure light of the world. And on the other hand, he's the darkest thing, and he'll kill me. And none of that's true. Boys, Lewis, come here. Y'all get over here. Lewis, Lewis, Lewis. Come on. Come on. I hear you over there. It's dark out. He's over there barking at something. Hang on, guys. Lois, come on. Get in here. Let's go. Let's go. Get in the house. Big dummy. Those dogs. Hang on. Sorry about that. But yeah, man, it's this whole thing, all of these people on the internet, teaching premillennialism, teaching, the old theology, Christ is still to return, all that mess just garbles up your mind, and it's not where it's at. It's all in here. It's all in here. And Jacob, when he wrestled with God, and he said, I've seen the face of God, and I call it pineal. And they tell us our pineal gland at night is when it secretes melatonin. And he said, go in the dark, take no thought, right? And if you can clear your mind, they prove it. The more you can clear your mind, the more melatonin you'll produce, and more melatonin, the healthier you are, the higher your frequency. I mean, it's just all science. But he was telling us, just do this, and your body it'll follow. And we were always told just the opposite. You know, what did he say? How do we approach the world? Through fasting, prayer, and supplications. Um, that's a lot of meditation when you think about it. He said, pray without ceasing. We've always got that internal monologue going, and that can be focused on God and a higher frequency, instead of, am I going to go out and eat tonight? Am I going to go there? Your brain can be on something else. And the more you do it, the more you find yourself thinking about God and thinking about those things. And it's just a mindset. Do you want it? And your intent. I've always said that. You can go back to our first videos, and I think a lot of it with God is, and with your frequency, is your intent. Do you have that higher aspiration? Are you looking, to be of use to your neighbor, and be kind, and also, but be a good judge, have good discernment. Don't be a speed bump to other people. And that confirmation from my classmates that they could tell I was working on a higher frequency was really confirming, because I'd been for a couple of years now, trying to get to that low. And then when you see people that hadn't seen you in a while, and they say that was pretty uplifting. But how long have I been going? 38 minutes. Yeah, my birthday is Sunday. And think about this, my lineup post birthday. My birthday is Sunday. I go to the dentist on Monday. I go in Tuesday to get this dadgum spinal cord stimulator taken out. I've had enough of this sucker, man. It don't help. It's completely lost its effectiveness. And this unit sits right on my belt line on my hip. And it's always irritated. It hurts all the time. And they finally got a spine surgeon here in Beaumont, and I went and saw him. He says, yeah, I'll take that sucker out. Let's do it. So I got scheduled up for Tuesday to get this thing out. I'll be glad to. That crazy thing, I got it turned all the way up, and I don't get any relief. But if I turn my neck wrong, I'll get a shock down my arm. I'll get shocks down my legs. I'm like, that's no good. I turn it off. I don't have it on half the time, because as soon as my spine gets out of alignment a little bit, I get shocks. And I don't like those. Those hurt. That's crazy. But yeah, man. Anybody watches this video, if it's only a few people, go watch those guys. This will help. This will get you on a path to thinking differently about how our mind works. It's all mind power, the pain reprocessing therapy that I've been using, that helps me with my pain. I had never found anything that gave me relief, or I can get basically instant relief. When my back starts hurting, I can go in there and I can go through a process in my brain, and I can get that pain gone. Where in the past it just lingered, man, just all day. It was there all the time. use ice, I use heat, use TENS units, spinal cord stimulator, everything. But this has helped me. This has helped me a lot. And hopefully it just gets better. And, more and more people you see around the world today are waking up. They're waking up to the fraud, the abuse, the lying, the corruption, and people are starting to wake up. They're starting to see how the Zionists and the Satanists and the atheists, all of them, been working hard for a while to tear down society, to get us into communism, the elite rule. Isn't it crazy how those people think they're so much better than us and above the law? And just for decade after decade, freaking politician after politician go in, scoop up their millions, and head on down the road and go to these cush jobs with all these corporations that bought them when they were voting. It's crazy. Ain't an honest one in the group. I think even the most honest ones have shit in their closet, or they wouldn't have got where they are. It's just sad. It's just sad. Like Jesus said, we don't battle against flesh and blood, but rulers, principalities, those guys, the government. It's just wow. It didn't have to be this way. That's what kills me. Is it just didn't have to be this way. They didn't have to poison our food. They didn't have to run a debt up of 35 trillion. They didn't have to do any of that. Any of it. We'd been way better off. They didn't have to fuck with education. That's one of the best analogies I've ever seen is you used to hear a lot. See that fella there? He made it big on just an 8th grade education. Well, when was he born? When did he get that 8th grade education? Well, he got that 8th grade education in the 20s, 30s, 40s, around in there. Well, if you look back, and I think it's all the way back to 1889, 8th grade graduation test. It was out on the internet for a few years back, and me and my wife looked it over together. We couldn't answer one question. We weren't even sure if that was right. It was just so hard. It just covered everything from history to language to finance. It just was amazing. They were so much smarter than us. And you see those buildings they built, and they're saying, yeah, these peasants with donkeys and carts and picks and shovels built this. Yeah, yeah, they built this cathedral. Whatever. Makes no sense. Don't you all want to know the truth? Who built all these buildings? Who built all these pyramids? Who did all this? What happened? What the freak happened? Because it's what they're telling us is so far off of what we observe. It's not even funny. Not even funny. And I think it was just so many people were more enlightened, like with Solomon. You know, the wisest man ever lived. You got to think he had complete understanding of frequency and vibration, and use of free energy in the ether, and just using cosmology, all of that. I'm sure they had no problem. That's how a lot of this stuff got built, was that understanding of frequency and vibration. Some of this stuff is unexplainable. They can't explain how these caves and caverns were carved out just so perfectly. I mean, these freaking cathedrals with 6 huge spires that go up, and it's carved every inch of it all the way up. Whatever. Those people did not do that. 40-foot doorways. Just all of it. All of it. One day we'll know. One day we'll know. It really gives me comfort to know that I'll get another chance at this. I probably won't reach enlightenment this go around, but I'm gonna get closer. Next time, I'll get closer, and one day I'll return to the Father as part of the whole God group. And in Genesis, not many people realize it says the gods created it. And the gods created the universe. That's crazy. The gods. What gods? And then one verse, I don't know where these are, but I know they're in the Bible, where he said, who was it that said amongst council of the gods? When they say stuff like that forever and ever, I thought, oh, it's just, an idol or something. It's not really a tangible God. It's not really, that, but it is. There are lesser gods, and that's crazy. I never was able to get my mind around that. And I'm starting to see how those gods could just basically be people who reached enlightenment, right? And they made the go rounds, and they got there, but they're not God. They're just a God. And I don't know. I can't wait to find out. And from what I understand, the only way to find out is just keep getting that higher and higher frequency, keep getting closer and closer to the truth in your mind. And get your mind to understand that this materialism, this is all just window dressing. Everything starts in here and goes out. From what I understand, if that matters at all. If that matters at all. Now, guys, it was good to do another video. I'm glad that I'm glad that we're living in this time. This is wow. Wow. I was telling my daughter yesterday, she's got a lot of lefty views and stuff, and she's a big truster in science and government. And I told her yesterday, I said, look, a lot of that stuff you believe, I used to believe too. I said, the indoctrination is really, really precise. It's really good. I said, all those things, I've seen it in just my lifetime, how they poisoned us, how education is indoctrinated. I've seen it all. I've lived through it. Trust me, when you hear those things and they sound good to you, you got to realize that all that's been tried and it don't work. It don't work. They just keep saying it in a different way, and a new generation keeps buying into it. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Love everybody. Well, not the way they say to love them. They say love them by taking shit from me and giving it to freeloaders. And she trusts the medical field. Oh my God, she just trusts them. And golly, I keep thinking more and more, further I get away from my career, is thank God I worked in surgery, or I don't know if I could live with myself at being a nurse and giving people all that poison all these years. In surgery, it's intervention. They need this done. They broke their leg, their gallbladder's rotten, whatever. They got a brain tumor. They need a heart bypass. This is interventional. We're fixing something, right? We're making it better. We're taking something out that's going to kill you if we don't, right? Those kind of things. And then they go out and they get all the poisons. And it's just, wow, being in the hospital, and they kept trying to give me antibiotics. No, I do not want antibiotics. Don't give me any antibiotics. And my wife comes in and she goes behind my back and says, yes, give him antibiotics. Next time he goes to sleep, go in there and hang him. And I caught him trying to hang again. What are you doing? I said, oh, your antibiotics. We got to run these in. No. Get that shit away from me. And she's getting all upset with me. You got to take your antibiotics. You're going to get sick. No, why would I get an infection? I'm using healing frequencies and stuff. I play it all day. I'm not going to get an infection. And I didn't. And I didn't get any antibiotics. Tell them that's bullshit, man. All y'all's witchcraft. But it was amazing, the list of drugs they gave me. That was just wow. It was 2 pages, just and my wife had a week or two after. She's talking to somebody, and she goes, "Yeah, he was in ICU for 4 days." I was like, "What?" And she's like, "You were in ICU for 4 days?" I'm like, "No way." And she's like, "Yes." I said, "I do not remember being in ICU for 4 days." She's like, "Yeah." She said, "You pulled your NG tube out. I had an NG tube, and there's a gastric tube." And she said, "Pulled that out 3 times." She said, you were just fit to be tied." And I was like, "Oh man, I don't remember none of that." She's like, "Yeah, you kept telling them, you got to do something for the pain. I'm hurting bad. I'm hurting bad." And they kept giving you stuff, and it did, you just kept complaining. I was hurting. I remembered when I got out on the floor, I was hurting, man. That shit wasn't helping. Nothing was helping. It was crazy. That stuff just made me sick. What else? I don't know what else I've got on my mind. All this politics going on, man, is just wow. What a clown show. What a freaking clown show. Yeah, all those people that thought Trump was going to come in and release those files and take names and kick ass is he's still a little bit. He's nibbling around the edges. He'll never get to the core and get all the corruption out of there. He's too corrupt. He knows they'll kill him. Oh, what about that Charlie Kirk deal? Oh, I don't know what to think about that. That's got all the signs of a freaking psyop there. That sucker. That's weird, man. That's weird. What happened there? Just and the FBI just they look like such buffoons trying to sell these stupid stories to us. It's like, what in the hell? The Trump thing was bad enough. A lot of people thought that was hoaxy, and it was weird on its own. But this whole Kirk deal, man, was just wow. And Candace Owens, stuff she brought out. What's going on, man? It's the Zionist. It's a Zionist, like Jesus said back then. You are of your father, the devil. You people. And it was talking about the Zionists, the the Pharisees, and wow, just crazy what these people do, and then cry. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. You pointed out the fact that I'm a I'm a piece of shit. How can you do that to me? Don't you know what my people have been through? God, I'm sick of that. So sick of that Holocaust deal. So sick of this slavery deal. Oh, my ancestors. Well, you're not. Stop. Just stop. Who said that? Who was it? Was it Herschel Walker that some interviewer asked him about slavery? No, it was Muhammad Ali. They asked him about slavery, and he's like, "Man, I'm glad my ancestors got put on that boat and brought over here. You think I wanted to be born in the jungles of Africa? Hell no. I'm glad they got brought over here." Man, I don't. Man, he was serious too. I'm glad. That's a good thing for us. But oh, not these other people. Just it's amazing. The propaganda, the lies, just up and down. You just pick a category, they lie to us about it. Just pick anything. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Pick it. It's so hard. We've been trying so hard to eat better and find organic food and stuff, and it's just so hard. Walmart, HEB, now they may have one little section of some organic apples, and they may have some organic watermelons, but everything else is GMO. Everything. That's crazy. GMOs and out. They've got it. Just it's infiltrated into our food system that unless they completely back off of any GMO grow, that'll take years to turn around. But then again, I think Monsanto or somebody bought up a huge swath of the world's supply of heritage seeds, of real seed. And they've got a huge swath of it. And that's why so many things are GMO, because they own those. And they can turn out bigger numbers than a regular farmer. And I think the farmers have to buy them from Monsanto or another company. It's crazy what they've done with our food supply. It's just wow. Whoever thought it was a good idea to alter our natural food? That's just fucked up. That's just why. Why? Oh, because we get bugs. Okay, then get out there and tend to your fields. That's what farmers are supposed to do. There are plants you can grow that'll keep the bugs out of your field. They've known that forever. There's things you can do. And all of a sudden, it wasn't good enough. All of a sudden, no, we've got to genetically alter this food with glyphosate in it already. So if a bug tries to eat it, it kills the bug. Well, what's it going to do to me? Why do you want me to eat food that you poisoned so something else wouldn't or couldn't eat it? That's just insane. I don't I don't get that. I just don't get that. But they, the powers that be up there said it's a good idea. It's a good idea. We can produce 10 times more stuff with this lower quality product, make 10 times the profit, and add some chemicals, and it'll taste just like the original. I sent my wife a deal yesterday that said Chick-fil-A's bread alone has 61 ingredients. I made bread yesterday. It has 4 ingredients. It didn't have 61. And like their chicken, their flavoring has like 24 different ingredients. That's just amazing to me. How did that industry get from a simple food product that was organic, people like it, they eat it, and they went, let's get in the lab and see if we can duplicate this with chemicals, and and then mix that with byproducts and processed foods and make a whole new product that tastes like that, looks like that, but is zero nutrition and is so cheap for us to make because we get all these petroleum products cheap, cheap, cheap. And we're going to make billions. And nobody in the room said, is it good for us to eat that? Yeah, it'll be fine. You sure? Because that's a lot of shit. Nah, we'll be all right. It'll be all right. Yeah, they'll love it. Well, so what if they love it? It's just so nefarious. It's so crooked. All for a dollar. All for a dollar. I don't get it. I just don't get it. So evil. And we know who owns all those companies. We know who controls the money. We know who controls academia. We know who controls medical. We know who's in control. How did they get in control? There's such a small number of people. How did they get in control of so much shit, guys? That I can't figure out. It was just deceit and trickery and crookedness that got them there, I guess. No fear of eliminating any opponents to their agenda. I don't mind that. We'll just get rid of you. Well, I'm right at an hour, guys. I think I'm gonna stop right here. But it was good getting back on. I think I'll start doing a few more. We'll see how things go. I'm getting back where I feel good, and it is, like I said, amazing to have a stomach that doesn't turn on you all the time. But Like I always say, good discernment, good vibrations. Love you all. Take care.